Hi, welcome back. This is part 2 of a 3-part series I'm making on replacing the door skin on a 66 Mustang. This is where we'll end up at the end of episode 2. And in episode 1, we took the skin off, we did a little bit of repair, we straightened out the top piece of this here fairly decently. It's not perfect, good enough. And in this part, we're going to be rebuilding this entire corner down here. We will be sandblasting, stripping paint, and putting a coat of epoxy primer on it. And in part 3, we will be installing the skin, sound deadener, and probably a brace for the door latch, which you may see in the future. Previously, we ripped the door skin off of this door. Today, we are going to sand, grind, remove all of the paint, all of the rust, and we're going to see all the pinholes and all the fun areas that we've got to fix, and we will get started on that. Alright, as you can see, I have cut out a chunk of the old. I've put in a piece of new. And there's some ugly welds on there, but it really doesn't matter because you're going to grind it all off. But basically, what I've done is cut this out. So I put my new piece on top, tack it. You just cut those little angles like I did. You just keep pushing it in, and eventually your old piece will just push to the inside and come out. And then your new piece is on the outside. This was an old piece of floor pan that didn't get used. It was kind of close to the curve to start with. Fit right in place pretty nice. Didn't take much work. And the tape, what I did with the tape was you put several layers of tape on there. It will hold the shape and hold somewhat the curve and a compound curve of the piece you're making. It works. The more layers you put on there, the better. If you put a bunch of layers, it works really well. But essentially, this is the first patch is going to go in here. I'm not trying to patch everything at the same time. I just want to get a piece in there. I'll grind it off, make it smooth, then come back and start making other patches. I'll probably make a little curved piece to go into here. That's why I didn't weld that there. I'll make a curved piece to go along in here. That'll go in there, so on and so forth. And then I'll take some of them. When you have a small hole, if you've got just a tiny little pinhole and that's all that's there, what I will do a lot of times is take a piece of TIG wire and do something like this. Hey, if that was just a hole, say it's a trim hole, something like that, screw hole, I'll put that wire in just like that, and I will basically put my MIG wire right onto that, melt that into place, and then finish it up, finish the weld, and just melt it all into place. This gives you a nice heat sink in the sheet metal, makes it a whole lot easier for welding up holes. But if you've got, like I said, if you've got a spot to, like, say this little thing over here, say that's all that is, and it's perfectly thick, perfect thickness everywhere else, just stick a piece in there. There's your heat sink. There's a little filler material. Weld it up, grind it off, weld it up, grind it off, do all that fun stuff, and call it good. It doesn't have to look pretty on the inside because nobody's going to see it.
Alright, quick update here on the progress. We have a mess of weld all over the place. And here's the pieces I have cut out. This piece was here. Let's see. Yeah, that was in there somewhere. Or that was there. It looks like that might have been there. And then this one was, this one, yeah, this one was out of here. And then we've got this little piece that was down here. I believe this was, yeah, kind of like that. So, yeah, it looks like a mess. It looks like a mess on both sides. Now it's just quite a bit of grinding to go, and we will see you back after we get done grinding. Okay, well, after some welding, some grinding, a little extra welding, a little grinding, hopefully I'll have video of that from overhead here. Let it run for a little bit so you can to see me grinding. It's kind of hard to do with you guys in the way. It's not perfect yet. Still needs a little bit of finish work. Smooth it out a little bit here and there. And to be honest, I mean, this is at the bottom of the door. It's going to be in the corner. Nobody's ever going to see it. Little body filler, prime it. Nobody's ever going to know the difference. So I would say that's turned out pretty good.
Now, one more area of damage we have to fix is right here. As you can see, that piece is totally torn out. It's not just broken around the screws, but the whole piece is torn out. So that will be the next fix. Take this apart, weld it in. If you want a really good video on that, you can go check out Joe Daddy's Garage. He recently did a video on repairing basically around the hole here where it generally breaks. Did a really good video on that. I will try to put a link to that if I can. Alright, as you can see, we have welded in most of that. Didn't go too well at the beginning. Welder was not having a good morning. I guess I bumped the wire feed at some point. So, yeah, I didn't want to weld, and I was having fun. And then there's a few choice words that, can't be on YouTube. But we are back into place. It needs a little more blending. It's just kind of hard to do with you guys in the way because you guys are really close. So after that, we'll do a little blending, maybe a little patching on the backside if I have to, but overall it'll turn out pretty good. Here we are, 45 minutes of blasting. Now if you notice, you will see this here. I don't focus on that. That's just kind of waste time. That's easier to do with other tools. Some of this inside isn't perfect. It's very hard to see when you're doing this. So you're just kind of shooting in the dark, hoping you can see a shadow when you do it. Here's the inside of that patch I did. You can see all the globules and all the other stuff there. But it works, and I've got up into this little area as well. That's what I did in the other one. And then when I prime, I will basically flood that area with epoxy, and you just do what you can, hope you get enough in there, and call it done. I got up these little channels up in here as much as I could. There's only so much you can do. I'm not too worried about that. There was some rust behind the door panel because obviously the door panel got wet. Now if you notice, I spent a lot of time on these edges here. That's on purpose. The edges are kind of important. Now, still, again, they're not perfect, but they're pretty decent. Now, hang with me just a second. All right, now we're on to the other side. Now, if you notice, I blasted this area. I wish I could have gotten that a little bit better. Again, I couldn't see it. Same here. But what I'd like to do is get into some of these areas that are hard to get into with other means. So you do what you can there. And this entire door is actually textured. It's not just this part here. It is, every bit of the metal is textured. So why they did that, how they did that, don't know. Still got, now I did uncover a few patches here and there that need to be done. And there's some ugliness here to start with. No biggie. Fill it, sand it. It'll all eventually get there. I did the same thing over here, and if you notice this edge, blasted that edge, because I want these edges as clean as I can get them before I prime them. Oops, sorry about that. You're looking at the wrong thing. This patch still needs a little bit of grinding out, but that's a whole lot of little patches and grinding before I get around to priming. Now come up here. Now I did just the inside, if you notice, and it's not too bad. There's that rust area, so obviously some water got stuck there. Not even going to bother with it. And then what I will do is this area here, I will use the silicone carbide impregnated nylon disc things. This type of thing. They have a bunch of different names, but these things, I got a bunch of them. But they work really well for that. So yeah, next step, a little more prep, a little more welding, and then primer.